To be honest, I think it's going to be very difficult for public sector politicians to continue to communicate the way they have been doing. I think they're going to find it even more difficult, and to it's just going to be more difficult. They probably will continue to lean into their preference for misinformation, for propaganda, for polarization of debates, distraction, all of the things that they play. But it's going to be more difficult because I think the sort of shift that I see happening is that citizens are beginning to be more, they're beginning to realize what they're dealing with, And even though it's not everywhere, but people are beginning to realize that you cannot trust what certain institutions say anymore. And that's a problem. For me as a communicator, that's a problem because what you want to do is you want to protect the credibility of your voice. If people do not trust your voice, honestly, I don't know what you have. Because at the end of the day, your brand voice is everything. It continues to baffle me how public sector and political sector, policy sector not as much, but I would say political sector, politicians are the worst offenders, followed by public office holders who are political in their thinking. Policymakers try to stay, or rather policy institutions try to stay out of the drama a lot. But generally speaking, I would say of these three, as you can see, we're talking about these three categories, there's just a lack of, there seems to me to be a lack of understanding about the sanctity of your voice and why you need to protect its credibility in the public space. The private sector understands this because they know that if we cannot believe what you write about your products or about your services, that you are gone. Your brand you are gone. As in, there's no reason for us to use you. But somehow governments think that they do not need to protect their voice. I think that is a fundamental, I think that's an error. I think that as we move closer to the 2030, the 21st century gets underway. Right now, we're a quarter of a way into the century. By the time we move closer to 2030 to 2050, it is going to be very difficult for government and for politicians to continue to operate and communicate the way they have been doing. Honestly, I think they're going to find it very challenging to very, very challenging. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave that there because this is not sustainable, is my view, my honest view. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts, to be honest.